better. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Why don't we have some open lines, start things off? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. And if you're still able to be in that celebratory mode of the festive season, you're still on holiday, good for you. If you have to be like many of us, back to work, mentally, physical, and otherwise, well, good for you too. As a friend reminds me, you pray not only for a job, but a health to do the work that you're called to do. And if you're not where you think you should be, it isn't a place that you want to be because you feel you're not being fully engaged, well, work diligently, work productively, and see if you can find your calling. Let's make this year one together. Sadly, as we enter the year, we see a lot of already, mishaps, misdeeds, and just behaviors, from homes being broken into and vandalized to not just, idle, errant, insolent little thugs, but some of the organized activities of men who are believing that the society is cognizant and willing to turn a blind eye to their neighbors' homes being vandalized and broken into, to the belief that the authorities are either inept, incompetent, or even some corrupted, to that mistaken view that they go to the courts and the sanctions are little or nothing. That can't be the society that we have. Not one that perception seems to be the accepted order of the day. Where is the rule of law, a sense of justice and fairness, and that sense that this community isn't going to stand idly by and let, a small group of, one friend earlier called them schmucks. I'm not sure if that's a word that we use often here, but, where he's from, that's the word that he said, is appropriate because it seems to be the behavior of some. And what better way to say it? Well, let's see what we can do. Hey, we can traverse a number of paths. One is, stick our heads in the sand, expose our six, and pretend that life is good and nothing's a problem. Two, we can put our heads in the clouds and pretend everything's rosy and wonderful and say, oh, look at those butterflies and rainbows and sprinkles and fairies and whatever other nonsense there is out there. Or we can be realists and work hard together and make sure that whether it's the government setting about a policy that we think needs to be championed and so we draw alongside, or if it's one that we think, hey, could use some adjustments, even though they may be our friends and we may be ardent supporters, but we need it to be better because in the long term, that's the interest we're looking out for. Not just today, not just ourselves, but for future generations of Cayman and Caymanians. Well, are we doing that? Or maybe we might say, listen, these guys, whether it's the government, the private sector, it may be another sort of, civic organization that you believe is getting, sort of away from their initial object. Well, do we ensure that we find that right path again? And are we prepared, to be the Daniels? Are we going to be ones who stand in the gap? Or, like so many, are we laissez-faire? We are prepared to just, be, as they say in economics, the free riders happily benefit from the good that come, but unwilling to lift a finger to make it happen. Where are you today? 949-8037, 949-8037, or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Call and share your thoughts with us. I show you how productive we are being here. Our wonderful sales team, out and about. So if you need an audience to reach, if you want to find the widest market, well, touch base with us here at Radio Cayman. Not saying that to boast, but, if you look at the facts and you'll see that it stands on merit. So welcome aboard to, Savannah Farmers and Countryside for joining us and the other businesses who want to do likewise, come on board, man. Be a part of something not only positive and productive, but gives you a great bang for your buck and allows you to reach a great audience. And to our listeners, thank you for contributing. Those of you who have been stalwarts and have called, very, very often sharing your thoughts with us. Some, very willingly pulling us aside off air, giving us their perspective. Great. But sadly, too many people, because they say, well, I'm a civil servant, well, I'm working for Bank A or Employer B or whatever it is, and I better be careful because my employer said this. Well, if that is happening and you're not speaking ill of your employer, you're not in any shape, form or fashion, speaking ill of anything that could be considered inflammatory, defamatory or otherwise, then why are freedoms being compromised and your sense of contribution being impeded? Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
And good afternoon, man. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you and to your family and to everyone.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Dwayne, during a couple of days ago, there was a breach of security to the airport. A person who, in 2 times, he broke up all the security, reached where is inside the airport without even proper documents or a ticket or anything. I think, number one, I never hear any statement from this government to what happened, because what happened is very dangerous in this country. Suppose this person, they claim he's mentally ill or mad or whatever, but this mad person, it seems he is more intelligent than all these people who was working in the airport, sitting there and allowing somebody just to walk to the airport, broken all security measures, which is very dangerous. Suppose this plane is he gone in the plane and he commits anything, could harm the passengers, could harm the citizen of this country, or suppose he is a terrorist, who somebody is coming here to do a harm to the people. So this is very dangerous. We have a National Security Council, or I don't know, the National Security Board, Council, I don't know what they call it.
National Security Council.
Yes. The National Security Council never meets because this is a very dangerous thing. I hear that the gentleman in charge of the airport security, he takes by himself a responsibility and he resigned. And I really see that he's a real man who taken responsibility for something. Maybe it is not his fault. We have in the airport that this country hire a security company, private security company, working there in charge of the security of the airport, and that is very dangerous. Why we have a private security company in charge of the security of international airports, whereas American planes, whereas other national countries' planes come here.
If I could ask you, don't lose your train of thought, but just 2 things before we get any further. Airports and the ownership and management and operation of airports. In your view, are you of the perception that those are owned by the government or being operated, owned and managed by some private sector entity? In Cayman, in the US, in the UK, around the world. To your mind, airports owned by the country or owned by a private entity?
No, the airport should be owned and operated by the government.
Right.
We have very wide amount of people who is in police, in custom, in immigration, and those people need to be put responsible, and put to control the border, to control the airport.
But is that, from your mind, is that the practice, to your knowledge, that airports are in fact owned by the government of the country, or are they probably owned, managed, operated otherwise by some private entity?
Shouldn't be by private entity. A country like Cayman with a budget $800 million, and a small country like this, we have all this income coming from the airport. I think it should be owned 100% by this government, by the government, not to be owned by private sector. In this country, I need to focus in what happened. Number one should be firing that security company who in charge of the security of the airport. Firing the other security company was the one check people when they enter the airport. Those two companies shouldn't be working anymore in the airport. Number two, all these workers was immigration or custom or whatever in charge of those security points. They have to pass, every person have to pass those two points, custom and security. Those people was that night when the breach of security, all of them should be taken responsible for what happened. And also the National Security Council should be meet that day when it happened, and they need to take measures because this is very dangerous in this country. The government...
As you share that, if I could ask, in terms of responsibility, you talk about the National Security Council, the employees who were on staff at the time and the private contractors. Would you go as far up to say, well, what about the collector of customs, the person who is the head of the airports authority, the political minister responsible for the airports? I mean, would you think all of those should be held responsible, accountable, and be dismissed as well? Would you take it that far?
Of course, because those people responsible about the security, national security of this country. The minister will say, in modern countries, in civilized countries, immediately the minister will resign from his job, or the prime minister or the premier or whoever the highest position in the country should do a change in the position and put somebody in charge of that ministry who capable to put the right people in the right place.
Okay. So if there was a car accident, and whether it's major or minor, would you hold the commissioner of police, the traffic officers, the NRA, and everybody else who may have been slightly or directly connected to it? I mean, at what point, I hear your point, but at what point do we draw the line, or do we say, listen, you're the top dog, so therefore it all falls on you, the buck stops here? Where do you portion the responsibility?
It's a different thing. It is not an accident. It is attempt to breach and broke the security of international airports. There is too much problems all over the world with security. There is terrorism. That should be concerning to everyone in this country.
Right. Now, why do you think that is? It seems that there's only perhaps you that is saying anything publicly. Very few people are saying anything at all, little in the media. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that not more people are as concerned, have expressed, the sentiments that you have?
See, look, Dwayne, I will tell you one thing. People may be scared to speak or scared, to put themselves in a situation where they lose their job, they lose their benefits, they lose their friendship with some politicians.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, look at it from my perspective. I think if the premier of this country don't call in an emergency meeting for the national security same day, that is put him responsible and put everyone sitting in that cabinet responsible. because this is a serious thing. Suppose the next time will be somebody who come in to terrorize and kill people. What will happen if the accident damaging the tourism business in this country? Are we afford any accident like this? This is a very serious thing, and this country needs to take it serious. If
Right.
they are hushing and not saying nothing, and they think people will forget that, remember, people will never forget that. And if the international media get about this, it will be very serious thing, because people will be scared to come to this country.
All right.
So
Fair enough, man. Your point is valid, and hopefully people don't see it as vitriolic, but perhaps, an impassioned plea. Hey, thank you very much for that. Can we take no more calls? Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Good afternoon, and a happy new year to you, I think.
Buenos dias, senor.
This is Clark Christian.
How are you, sir?
Oh,
Happy New
sad
Year.
and lonely, but still alive.
It could be worse.
I'm just enjoying the other one with the security thing. Maybe I hear things most people don't hear, but I think one of the second biggest airport in London, but that's sold to private enterprise.
Well, yeah, and there are airports in Europe and North America that are private owned, but some countries, as the caller has shared, are in private management. Put it that way.
Yeah, but I mean, that is not going. That's like that wall Trump want to build. He going to stop all this. How say South Americans, poor ones coming in the United States. I mean, they can still go up north, come through California or across Texas in boats, or do it a big all in containers they do with the Chinese. I mean, that's
Yes, sir.
that's not going to stop people coming.
Yeah.
And, hello?
Yes, sir. You were sharing. You were
Yeah.
sharing. Yeah.
You know what interests me in that? You want to stop all of these.
Sir?
Give them I don't know.
Yeah, you there, sir?
But,
Yeah.
yeah. They want to stop all. It's not because you don't like Spanish people, because they've been paying Cubans millions of dollars, especially athletes and doctors, to come to the United States. And now they had this bet, back bet for something that until Trump
They
changed
drive
it.
foot by foot.
Yeah, as soon as, and then it deserted the lighthouse that belonged to America. Okay, you're an American citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not afraid of the war by the Cubans. They want the Cubans to come. So then I said, then why do they have this embargo?
Well, you're talking about U.S. foreign policy, and maybe this is not the place, nor are we the ones to discuss that. But you're sharing.
Huh?
You're share with us. I mean, what is it that is of importance to you now?
No, what because Cuba just in the north of us, right? Right, we have a lot of Cubans there. Okay,
Right.
but I'm concerned. Why is it that I can't imagine that Trump hates Cuba so much? Because he's not about socialist communism, because he's dealing strong with the Chinese and Russians and North Koreans.
Mm.
Right? And 98% of the world says you should lift the embargo against Cuba. I keep wondering why does he have this embargo?
Well, maybe when you see him, you can ask him, man.
No, I finally figured it out. Right? Because of the Cubans say that they're not Christian, but they're doing those Christian things. Okay, they have the kind of government like the first disciples had, right? But everybody, they put all the money to the disciples, and they shared it out to whoever had need, right? Hello?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
trying to figure out
And
where we're going with this conversation, because I'm not quite sure what his dance is.
Look, 1 minute I'll show you how it directly affects
Yeah.
not only Cape Man, but a lot of places around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when John asked Jesus, you're the one, to show him the sign, right? The poor people are sick of being healed and the poor having education. Now, Cuba is in a destiny, a lot of harder prompted by Jesus alone. Right? That the next Messiah is coming from Cuba. In fact, he is there. I won't go into all a long time because I know you get long time like Jordanian. But the next Messiah, or the next great prophet coming as a teacher, is actually born in Cuba, about 22 years old now.
Man, not today. I don't know if I... Mr. Christian, leave us there. Bro, take the next line. Good afternoon, welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Happy New Year to you.
I call this to tell you Happy New Year and to your family and the Radio Cayman family.
And to you, sir.
You have a blessed and wonderful prosperity one.
Amen.
This year.
And to you as well,
God
man.
bless you.
Blessings. Yeah. Listen, as before you go, if I can ask of you, this is what, the 2nd of January? I mean, this is, a few hours already into this second day of this new year, and you've seen reported crimes or break-ins and all kind of stuff. What can we do as a people about that kind of nonsense? Any thoughts?
Let me tell you God's truth.
Mm-hmm.
If you look back at the schools, let's look from the schools, from the daycare schools, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you go into the primary.
Right.
How much children comes out a year out of the primary? Then you look at the high school. How much come out of high school?
Right.
Primary. Then where you gonna find jobs for these people? All right. You got, that's where the crime gonna be coming.
So
and they're not gonna stop because this thing is written in.
Yeah. So you think that because people because people are unemployed, that's why we have crime, they break into people's homes?
And although we have the government, everybody blame the government. The government one can do what they can do.
Right, okay.
You understand what I'm saying? And when you see these things, these are signs of time, and these things must come to pass to me.
Yes, sir.
It has to come to pass. And it's not going to get no better and get worse. You see, if anything happened to one of our tourists or anything like that, we finish. We done. I'm telling you, fuck, we finish. And then you're going to see crime. You're going to see killing. Then you're going to see stealing. So, all I can say, the government can try their best to do their best. And, that's it.
Yeah, man.
But sorry, it's sad to say so, but that's how it is. That's how it is.
I hear you. Maybe some will... But anyway, Happy New Year to you, man. You're a positive, encouraging one, and always appreciate your spirit.
So, it's my country, but that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But some people just not focusing on that. They're just focusing on the money and they're working on the work and stuff. But right now, it's a
Okay.
I can't call the name because we need to clear up this place. We need really to clear up this place. The Ritz-Carlton, they have people, they have someone there, right? I know for a fact, And I'm talking about their hair, so somewhere I know it's a fact, right? That this person is trying to run out the Cayman people, the one with the Cayman status and the Cayman shouldn't want them to work there. You understand? And when I hear people talk about it, like they want to cry, and it's not right. They're bringing these Africans, and they're bringing these Indians, and the people from the polar, we're part of this, all part of the world, and we got people here to work. Then it's not right.
But then the question is, what are we doing about it? How are we allowing such behavior, whether it's at a hotel or whether it's at a law firm, an accounting firm, or even sometimes maybe within the government agency, But I hear you, man. Anything else, sir?
We need to get down to the nitty-gritty and get these people to hire Caymanians and so hiring these people because it's not right. The government said that they were going I hope I don't lose my job. Well, if I lose my job, I speak the truth because it's my country. They need to say the permanent people want to come out and people want to get jobs. People look to put people in place.
Yeah,
so it must be a government thing. I don't know.
Boy,
that's what I have to say.
People are wondering. Hey, thanks very much, man. All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And just quickly, stay on the line, but we're going to pause, take a break. I don't know, maybe we'll get our bonus. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I didn't mean to hurt her. Work was tough. We're struggling financially. I had a few drinks to relax, but then the argument started. It was a mistake to hit her. Now I don't have a job. I don't have a wife. I can't afford to feed my family. This was a hard lesson to learn. Never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave. Stop to slap. Stop to cycle. Stop the violence.
The Stop the Slap campaign, proudly sponsored by Foster's IGA. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
It's Foster's. How about this for a New Year's resolution? Live to eat. Yep, live to eat. Don't just eat to live. Find the balance between going crazy for that indulgently creamy made-from-scratch cake and knowing just how many nuts will make for a good, naturally healthy snack in between meals. Slow down and take in all the joys of food in your life this year and live to eat with Foster's IGA. Follow along for tips and more this year as we live to eat in 2019.
At Foster's Food Fair IGA, we care.
At KFC, we believe you don't have to share a last name to be a family. Whether it's an office party, holiday fete, or family gathering, enjoy KFC's fresh, hand-breaded finger-licking good chicken. The KFC Festive Feast includes 10 pieces of original recipe or spicy chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, tasty coleslaw, and warm biscuits. KFC's holiday catering menu includes buckets of hot wings, sweet chili wings, or chicken tenders. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. It is open line 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, Mr. Dwayne.
Happy New Year to you, man. How are you?
All right, man. Happy New Year.
Good to hear from you, man.
Yeah, to everybody in the family and everybody. You know, hope everybody see you well, you know.
Amen, man. Amen. To you as well, man.
Thank you very much, man. But there's a couple of things I just got to tell you still what.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hog your time, you know, so.
Oh, man, listen. You take some time and you tell me it's too much.
Alright. That thing too, I don't call as much, so. Then he just give me a blame, you know.
Yeah.
But it's one thing I read in the paper yesterday. See that Netherlands got us blacklisted.
Them too?
This is what I heard. They got us blacklisted along with Trinidad and Tobago and all that this year. So you know, you got to smell something funny, you know.
Aye. You begin to wonder, huh?
And then another thing is, right, is that I called in here last year. You wasn't there, I think it was Mr. Sting song, whatever his name is. And he had some guests on there, and they were talking about their plastic-free Cayman. And I brought up to him and I asked him about the hemp biodegradables and potato starch and all that biodegradables.
Right.
All right. And you can guarantee that they demonize that whole move, you know. Plastic-free Cayman demonized that whole move. They were talking about buying a bamboo toothbrush and reusing the same plastic bottle to keep the place plastic free. Now to me, it sounds like that same plastic free Cayman is working, to kind of get you to pay more for plastic. If it were me and I were running a plastic free Cayman, I would stop importing plastic.
Altogether?
Altogether. I don't care who won't feel it or who don't want to feel it. But that would be my, you know what I mean?
But I mean, your point, and I always enjoyed that sometimes the direction you take us, right? You talk about using the hand products, whether it's in clothing and textiles, whether it's in construction and the like. The product is very versatile and has been used, for centuries, right? What do you think? We look at it from that perspective, though. We can get milk, and we can get the seed, the green, the food. We can do a lot of stuff with it. Why is that such a taboo, as you said, being demonized? So
why? I still haven't really found it yet, but it has to go back to the source from the start. And the start is that this guy from Texas or something, this racist guy, he went to the UN. This is what made it illegal around the whole world. He went to the UN, the United Nations, and he said that it makes Negroes smarter. You can check that, and you can fact check me all you want. You can have my boy up in the control room. Check that. And that says that it makes Negroes smarter. He doesn't directly say Negroes, but he says blackies or something like that. Right? And I wondering, well, what is the problem with having us smarter? And when I really check it out, I go back to my grandfather. You know what I mean? My grandfather, one of the richest black men on the island, and my uncle. They did that. A lot of sacrifice, a lot of trial and tribulations it took for them to get where they are. One of them even had to wear a dress to get where he is. You understand? And to me, that take a lot of heart. They always got my respect. But when you try and fight us down and just keep on making up reasons to keep up your racism in this country, right? I really think not only should we be plastic free, but we should be free of all the honor like that.
If I can ask of you, right? And I was just, as you were sharing, I was just trying to reflect on a conversation that I was sort of privy to a good while back. And the notion was that there's a time, in recent memory where the language in Cayman has become more and more, almost racist, right? So we would refer to people, who weren't familiar as foreigners, for instance. Not always, disrespectful manner, but sometimes, right? Then that became expats, but a term that expats themselves have said is their term. But now that term is the white people or something else, denoting color and the like. Are we there in a society now where we've so polarized and divided that we're drawing lines among ethnicities, along economic lines and nationalities and all sorts of things? Or is there still a semblance of unity in this country, or have we lost it altogether?
I can never say that all white people are racist.
No, not you. No, I'm not saying that at all, and I don't wish to infer that. What I was saying is that just listening generally to people, right? I'm hearing more and more the comment that when referring to others, it's along, like, the white people, the black people, right? And it's from all walks. And I'm wondering, is that just an adoption of other things, or is this a reflection of the reality? And not saying that calling people, foreigners and expats and stuff is forgivable, but it's becoming even more vitriolic in the way we speak. And I'm concerned that we are either on the cusp of being such a disjointed society that there's no turning back, or is this just the beginning and we are unwilling to acknowledge it and try to find out how to address it?
I think, yeah, we really didn't know how to address it. But in last year, Colorado was a place that outlawed slavery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year they put that on the bill that the slavery is no longer illegal. All right?
Mm.
That's last year. No, remember now, Lincoln in the Civil War and all that fought to free the slaves, right?
Mm.
But how is it that Colorado is just now making slavery illegal? You understand?
No, I hear you, and there have been a few little tidbits in the media, especially in the U.S.
I'm sorry, the white, when they referring to the white people now, that is because this guy Trump come into play, you know.
Mm.
That's because he comes in and he's blatantly throwing stuff and doing stuff he say he's not supposed to do, you know. And about it, I kind of see those people, they understand the squeamishness, the scornfulness that they get when they approach them.
Right.
You know, they can feel it. And
let me invite you and others to consider something for a second, right? Based on what you shared, there are those who subscribe to a school of thought that would say that, you know, in order for governments, whether it's the agenda of some of the interest groups or otherwise, in order for them to get more sway over the people, more influence, more power, more control, and they need to do certain things, right? So, give us an example. The earlier caller referenced the alleged breach of security at the airport and the seemingly lack of discussion publicly and the outcry and the like. What if now in return we have legislation coming down from the powers that be that say, well, you know, going through the airport now, these are going to be the new security screening processes. Longer waiting times, more restrictive access, more invasive screening procedures, what have you. And the public response say, yep, you know, we got to be safe, so let's give up more freedom in order to get, you know, a semblance that we're safer.
What do you mean? What we supposed to just take that?
Well, isn't that what we do? Isn't that what has happened all along to date?
Well, this is what the government is you know, hoping for. They're always hoping for us to be passive and just let them do what they're supposed to, not what they want to do, and benefit to those rich, you know, people. So I gotta say rich. I don't say white. I say rich.
No,
because to me, you know, the worst out of all of them is a black person who make believe he white, you know. That's the worst one to me, you know. I don't want to be nowhere near him. I don't want to be 10 foot near him. Because to me, those are the ones that they try to keep us in check the most. Because if we stand up, then they got to stand up. And they don't know which side to go on, you know. They're not going to know which side to be on.
If we look at where we are in Cayman's history in particular, and we understand specifically from our oral traditions that the behavior amongst our people, even though there was slavery and the recorded numbers were, relatively speaking, they're not that high, right? And the interaction compared to, say, the neighboring countries, Cayman was more civilized, more humane, and the like. How is it then that we have managed to date to have, you know, whatever the numbers of different nationalities that are here, seemingly embracing a semblance of, I don't know, civility, social harmony, and the like? If we come this far and have been able to enjoy that level of interaction and engagement, what is it that we're trying to do now in order to destroy that? I mean, you look at people who are in business partnerships together, people who have married in, you know, to different families and They come here from different countries and they meet and they make Cayman, a wonderful place by being here and contributing. Can we not see that we have a good thing going here and how easy it is to destroy it?
Well, be better. You can't find another place in the world that got the most nationalities abiding in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see that. But people that they is trying to always have you focus on one thing, and that one thing be pay your mortgage or find your money to live here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have no time to focus on being unity with anybody from the desert sands or from the Alaskan wilderness and all that. You don't have no time to do that. You have time to just work and go to sleep. That's how they keep you from understanding the trueness of what you got here. If you manage to pull all these nations together and fight for you, like say all of them come together with us, they would be in a whole heap of trouble. They would have to run on the fastest canoe. You understand? Because they couldn't handle the amount of human rights violations and the amount of human rights suits and lawsuits or whatever it is. They couldn't handle that. They would be up to their neck in that.
But then
they don't ever want to see us come together or to have that kind of mentality. We have to always try to fight down the next barefoot person.
So what is stopping us then from making sure that unity continues and celebrating it and the like? It's people like yourselves who have friends from all walks of life, from all corners of the globe, know the beauty of being able to engage with people from different facets, and you learn so much. Your life is so enriched, right?
Really, it is. What really it is I was focused on little things.
Mm-hmm.
Little things you hear, like the airport. All that is small. The port, all that is small to what compared to us coming together and doing everything as one.
Mm-hmm.
All that is small. That is so minute. You would need a magnifying glass to see how insignificant that is towards us being together and working together and learning from each other. Imagine we don't have to go on no internet to learn from India or China or anything like that. We can go out on the road and find a Chinese or Indian person. You understand?
And get it firsthand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, man. You see that's the thing that I think some of us recognize and value. Others may see it and say, just like you're saying, let's disrupt that, because then the society is unstable, then there's greater chance of control. All right? Anything finally you want to share with us before we hit the news?
No, just thank you very much for your time. If I didn't, sometimes, I mightn't hear everything you say, because, I'm listening to the true question of what you're trying to ask me. You understand? I notice you're real good with that, So.
Oh, boy. But you even better at discerning it, man, so I appreciate it. But it's always a pleasure to listen to you, man, and I thank you, and I pray that you continue to, not only be blessed, but be a blessing to others, man. Talk to you again very soon, all right?
Thank you very much. God bless everybody.
Amen, brother. Amen. Let's pause and take a news break. When we come back, let's have some more talk today. Stay tuned.
I didn't mean to hurt her. Work was tough. We're struggling financially. I had a few drinks to relax, but then the argument started. It was a mistake to hit her. Now I don't have a job. I don't have a wife. I can't afford to feed my family. This was a hard lesson to learn. Never forget that walking away from something unhealthy is brave. Stop to slap. Stop to cycle. Stop the violence.
The Stop the Slap campaign has been proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
It's more than what we do. It's who we are. We were your official bank of the quincentennial celebrations in 2003. We were your Bank of the Year 4 times. We were voted as the inaugural top employer in 2010. We were the inaugural Business of the Year awardee in 2017. Who are we? We are Cayman National, your local bank, proudly serving you for over 40 years. It's because of you that our journey continues.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Cayman Islands government publishes the latest appointments to the Water Authority Board. Kearney Gomez will serve as chair. Members are Alfonso Wright, James Gill, Christopher John Randall, Hanson Bingham Ebanks, Laurel Ryan, and Mark Rankin. The appointments are effective until December 31st, 2021. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. U.S. President Donald Trump has shrugged off a stinging personal attack on his presidency from senior fellow Republican Mitt Romney. Mr. Romney, who stood and lost for the Republicans against Barack Obama in 2012, suggested in an article that Mr. Trump was not fit to be president. Mr. Trump had not risen to the mantle, he wrote in the Washington Post. 6 people have been killed and 16 injured in a train accident on the Great Belt Bridge in Denmark. Rail network officials said debris from a freight train, possibly a tarpaulin, hit a commuter train during a heavy storm, forcing it to brake suddenly. Rescuers are working to free around 100 passengers who remain trapped on board. And U.S. agents have fired tear gas over the border into Mexico at migrants trying to enter the country illegally. Around 150 Central Americans tried to make the crossing near the town of Tijuana to the south of California on New Year's Day. One U.S. official described the migrants as a violent mob. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
This health flash is brought to you by Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Over 65 million people around the world have moderate or severe COPD, a family of diseases that includes emphysema and chronic bronchitis. Cleveland Clinic, Florida offers a wide range of management and treatment options for COPD, including programs focused on education, medication, smoking cessation, and pulmonary rehabilitation. A team of experts is ready to review your symptoms and test results to develop a comprehensive treatment plan. For more information, visit clevelandclinicflorida.org.
The only bad workout is the one that never happens. Make 2019 the year you commit to fitness. Let King Sports Center put you on the right track with their Get Fit 2019 sale from December 15th to January 15th. 2-for-1 Powerhouse Gym memberships for $600 or a single membership for $325. And call them to find out how you can take an additional $100 off this sale price. 946-5464 or visit kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, providing your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs. Remember, fit is not a destination. It is a way of life.
It's Christmas fun for all with the Flow Quad Play Bundle for a year and weekly draws for Samsung soundbars. To win, sign up for any Flow service, including our new Quad Play Bundle. Top up $25 or more or pay your bill on time and in full. Our Quad Play Bundle is filled with the fastest broadband, HD quality Flow Evo TV, excellent mobile call quality, and home phone with up to 2,800 international minutes. With over $40,000 in prizes, that's fun all with Flow. Visit discoverflow.ky for more. Terms and conditions apply.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here in this wonderful Wednesday edition of Talk Today. And man, sometimes if I listen to people who give me instructions, that might actually even be good. When we get a chance, in a few moments, we'll join our discussion schedule in relation to our good friends from the FRC. But let me ask them for just a few minutes of their time. Caller was in the queue from the caller prior. Let's go join the phones and who knows? I mean, this could be ice cream or chocolate. Hey, good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon, Mom. Happy New Year to you.
Boy, I tell you what, make it be healthier, happier, more blessed, more loving, all that good stuff there.
All that good stuff. Even some custard popcorn bread on top, huh?
Oh, no, Sterling, stop it. Stop it now, Sterling. Stop it now.
Yes, Mom.
Stop it now. Listen to me.
Uh-huh.
I had to tell you, operator, just now. And that young man that called just now.
Mm-hmm.
I said that he don't call too often. I said, operator, I said that I don't believe that young man sleep. Because he is watching everything.
Smart, man. He's
Sterling?
very smart. Yes, Mom.
He is watching everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Sterling, I can tell you now about yesterday, okay? Listen, Sterling. Sterling.
Yes, Mom.
Did you say that you have somebody there with you?
I was just about to say to you that we have a discussion scheduled with our friends from the Family Resource Center. We'll get to that in a second, but we want to be respectful to you, and since you were...
Tell them, Sterling, tell them that they got to wait.
Okay.
Because I am a original.
You're the original.
Yeah, I'm an original, and I haven't been calling for quite a little. I haven't quite calling so much recently. But as you know, I am busy.
Yep.
I have things to do, places to go, and people to see.
Mess with you.
Sterling,
Yes, Mom.
yesterday was a wonderful thing down by that 8-bush field down Whitecall Stadium.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was beautiful. I mean, wonderful, wonderfully beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
What a word that is coming up there now. Listen, Miss Sterling.
Okay.
You may remember me saying that I have had people say to me
Mm-hmm.
that either you that calls it on a talk show. I say, which one? He say, Radio Cayman. I say, oh, because I don't listen to anything else. I don't listen to anything else besides Radio Cayman. So yesterday, Sterling, it's about 7 people asked me if I'm the one that calls in. I can't even remember the districts that they are from. Sterling?
Yes, Mom.
Yeah, I said, but never him for a little while. I said, but it's like I said just now, I am busy and all the other stuff that I said just now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now, that young man there, I'm going to get back to him a little bit.
Okay.
All right? So I cannot repeat. I do not want to repeat anything that he said, but I do know there's a lot of people on these 3 islands that do not listen to Radio Cayman. You hear me, Sterling?
Right.
To hear what that young man really, really watching. He watching it, you know.
He is,
you know,
yes.
Do you know that young people say straight up and what? I can't remember how to say that part now. They say straight up and they say do what anything, but I'm not watching everything. So I talk a little fast now because I'm really, really excited. So I got to really start tripping my tops now because things is good. Better and better and better all the time.
Yes, Mom.
So I can leave it now at that and wish everybody, even them that don't listen to the Radio Cayman, I mean, that they get it direct, whether it's online or whatever it is on.
Uh-huh.
I wish them all the best, like I started off and saying, healthier, more prosperous, more loving, more kind, more giving, all that good stuff there for edition 2019.
Amen.
On the second day, I am saying that.
Perfect.
Okay, Sterling?
Yes, Mom.
I'm going to be listening. I'm going to turn the radio up now.
Turn it up. Thank you so much, Mom. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Blessings to you. And like the caller shared, that there's a lot of good things. I think sort of a good segue into it because you talk about, the level of expectation and productivity, the chances that we can do even more and do better. And I believe that if we equip ourselves, just like the person in the workplace who is looking at some certification, some added skill set in order to bring them up. If we're looking at our homes and families and our communities, why not avail ourselves of what the Family Resource Center has to offer and help us? It doesn't matter who we are, first-time parent, or whether we're doing this the second time around, it can help. Oh, Miss Miles Rubin, I had to look at you and say, man, your family have to be saying, oh, is that my mommy? Good afternoon to you and happy New Year, Miss Miles.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, man. I was just looking at some sort of instructive notes that sometimes, the people higher up give you little things you should follow, and they say, well, should you start saying to your guests, introduce yourself, tell the listeners more about it. Not everybody's like you that, don't like to talk about yourself. I say, but it's always good to people to appreciate that when, as Mr. Jeff Schofield used to share all the time, we just didn't get these off the street in the parking lot somewhere. These are people with skill sets who are genuinely interested in sharing, and to help us better. Miss Miles, could we start with you since you're the eloquent one?
Sure. Thank you for having us. My name is Miles Ruby, and I'm a program facilitator at the Family Resource Center, going on my 8th year, I think it is. And I am a certified parenting coach as well. And today we have another program facilitator as well as a parent who graduated from our SNAP program, this last cohort, joining us today. So, we'll talk about the SNAP program as well. But that's me.
That's
and
you.
We want to also share some of the other programs that will be starting next week.
As well.
That's all free to the community.
Okay, before we ask Ms. Shannon.
Sure. So I'm Anne-Marie Diaz. I'm a program facilitator newly started at the Family Resource Center about 6 months ago, getting into the swing of things. And a trained art psychotherapist. That's my formal training, and excited to be here.
I'm excited to be here too. I got free therapy. He's like, he probably needs it.
We can all use it.
Only if you wish, Miss Shannon. Share as you wish, and please.
My name is Shannon Powell, and like Miss Ruby said, I'm a graduate from the SNAP program, me and my 10-year-old son.
All right.
So we're just here to kind of give insight from the parent side.
Okay. I was going to ask something. I just put it on the table now, only if you're comfortable, and only because I don't believe in overly imposing at times, but too many of us, as parents in particular, believe that, things are great at home, or it's only if there's an issue. But we can avail ourselves of things that helps us. And maybe through you, Ms. Ruby, we can ask, parents listening to take the opportunity and see what the Family Resource Center has to offer. If you're a skilled boxer and a famous coach comes in and willing to give you a 5 minutes of instruction, you would be foolish not to take 5 minutes and listen, right? Or it could just be an amateur guy and you can say, hey, he has good form. Take 2 seconds and look. You never know where you might helps you.
Right.
That's my perspective.
I always tell all our parents, it's never too late to be a better parent or to learn new skills. We talk about the parenting tool belt that we all carry around with us, and if we only have a hammer, then we approach every problem like it's a nail. So we need to have as many parenting tools in our parent tool belt as we can. So when we have different scenarios come at us in different situations, we have different tools that we can pull from so that we have a positive outcome, so we can parent more effectively and more positively.
Perfect. We're going to pause, take a break, sort of reset that parenting tool belt, the SNAP program, because many of us, we have a belt around us, but there's not many tools in that. That just weighs us down. Let's see if we can put some good tools in there. Take it out of a red box, put it in a blue box. I don't know. We'll tell you more about it. Please stay tuned, because the information may not only help you to be a much happier family, much safer, more productive, but who knows, that could position you to some greater things. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Every Saturday morning at 9.
Bob, you got to turn around this plane. See my box down there with my parrot and rabbits.
Right here on Radio Cayman.
In Cayman, we are surrounded by water and make our living by farming the sea.
Come join us as we proudly present Caymanian Stories.
The whole problem started when Kanka promised Mrs. June that she would babysit her daughter, Lil Kelly, one Saturday afternoon.
Caymanian Stories is proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank, serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all your financial needs.
Did you know that the Department of Environmental Health operates a recycling program in the Cayman Islands? Recyclables such as number 1 and 2 plastics, tin and aluminum cans, cardboard, as well as glass and ceramic items are recycled on Grand Cayman by the DEH. Take these items to the recycling depots located at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, and Hurley's Grand Harbor. Remember, keep the Cayman Islands clean, reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, please visit DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and I trust that as we, do our very best to provide some of this programming, there's opportunity not only for you to learn and to laugh, but as you share with us, you benefit greatly. I know I'm always honored. I said that sincerely to come away with valued experiences. So, in the studio from the Family Resource Center, Miss Miles Ruby with her colleague, Miss Anne-Marie Diaz, together with Miss Shannon Powell. And I think as parents, sometimes we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. It could be the child starting school. That very first day is approaching in 6 months, and we're already panicking. Or it could be that they're going through as problem many parents are now facing. Graduation is in a few months' time. Children are talking about applying for university because scholarships are coming up. Oh, by the way, heads up, tomorrow, our good friend Dr. Shari Smith is going to join us to talk about the scholarship application for government. So you want to get questions in for her. But that's a process. So everything weighs on us. Mm-hmm. And yet, we don't realize how our children may take those concerns on board. Yeah, sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. So, Ms. Miles, Ruby, share with us.
Well, I wanted to first talk about the SNAP program, since we have Ms. Shannon here with us, and what that looks like. And it is it stands for Stop Now and Plan, and it's a 13-week proven program that teaches children how to kind of stay calm in the moment and keep their problems smaller. And it's for the whole family. It's not just for the children, it's for the parents as well. And they also learn some good parenting tools to learn to model good self-regulation, to learn how to be productive and effective and keep the problems small as well. Because sometimes parents, we don't realize the role we play in that cycle. How much we contribute to the problem as well. And so a lot of times parents come in thinking, oh, my kid needs to be fixed. And at the end of 13 weeks, they're like, oh, my goodness, I need a lot of fixing too. So we kind of, it's really good for the whole family. And, it's intended to help the kids to stay out of trouble and stay in school. It's for children who are having difficulty in school and home with authority in the community, for those ages between 6 and 11, and they are gender-specific groups, and we tend to not put the 6-year-olds with the 11-year-olds. We'll have age groups. We'll keep the younger kids together, and so we're starting the first cohort for 2019 next week, and it's Thursdays from 5:30 to 7:30. We have like a light dinner between 5:30 and 6, and then we start programming at 6, and we finish at 7:30. And what we do is if we're having a boys group, then the boys go to one group, the parents to another, and if they're siblings, they have their own group as well. And so we're all on the same page, basically, and learning the same concepts, learning about SNAP, how to control our emotions and stay calm in the moment, because so often that's what gets us in trouble, is when we respond to an event that maybe got us angry, frustrated, irritated, as a parent as well as a child, right? It's not just for kids, and how to learn how to manage, self-control, so that because I always say as a parent, we need to always parent from a place of control. And if we're angry or emotional, it's very difficult to do that. We tend to over-consequence and say things we regret, and then later on we feel terrible as a parent, and we're like, we feel bad. So it's a really a very effective program. We've had 3 successful cohorts so far, and we're just really pleased to have Shannon here today so she can share her perspective as a parent who's gone through the 13 weeks, which seems so long when you first commit. And then at the end, you're like, this is too short. Yeah. 13 weeks is not enough. Yep. And so, it's really about, but that it doesn't end after 13 weeks, that's just the group part that will end after 13 weeks. And then we offer support through individual parent coaching, through school advocacy, those types of pieces that are very tailored for that family based on what they need.
Yeah. And as I listen to you, I mean, the scripture talks about never discipline in anger, right? And how many of us, even as adults, even in the workplace, even when it's just us making a decision, if we can stop now and plan, employ a similar strategy. And, well, let me not respond to that email just yet. Let me not just go and do this thing. Right. Take a second to think about it. Maybe that second becomes a day. If you can, that decision might be that much better.
Well, and, anytime we have a knee-jerk reaction, we tend to regret it later, and
tweet all the time,
huh? Right, so if you take that moment to think, what makes a good plan, and we talk about that in SNAP, is it, a good plan doesn't hurt anyone, including yourself. It keeps your problems small, not bigger. And it also, both parties feel okay. You may not feel like a winner, but that's how you know you have a good plan. But before you can have a good plan, you have to be able to learn to, calm yourself down. And that's what, the parents learn and the kids learn is how in the moment, what kind of things do I need to do to calm myself down, whether it's walk away, put my hands in my pocket, take some deep breaths. We call those stops in SNAP, stop now plan. That's what that is. And so becoming self-aware is, just one aspect of it. Because so often we're just like this feather floating through the air, like in Forrest Gump. But if we can be a little bit more aware and
all I remember is a chocolate. Life's
like a box of chocolates, right? But let's be more selective in how we respond.
The fruits of the spirit, self-control, those sorts of things. Ms. Shannon, before I ask you, share as you wish, as you want, because I think many of us need to understand that God's willing we are parents for life. And you could be an 80-year-old parent with a 60-year-old child.
Absolutely.
Well, that's still your child. And you're still going to reach out and say, well, did you get something to eat today? How are you doing? That's the same.
I'll never stop being a mother. I mean...
Especially a mother, huh?
Yeah.
Ms. Anne-Marie, from that perspective of, looking at it from the counseling, the psychotherapy, and the like, sometimes we don't see how our little actions, the body language in particular as parents, here he goes again with, the things that we do that are sometimes magnified to our children, even though we don't mean to. Are we, but share with us as we look in the context of it.
Well, you just saying that, what it made me think of is that I think as parents and people generally, we do get very much caught up with our own feelings. And it's kind of easy to forget that a child is a person in their own right with their own feelings, and we might get caught up in, they're whining or they're complaining again and, this and that again and again. When actually, if we look below the surface, what is that communicating? They're not trying to irritate you. Well, I hope not.
Met me.
What really are they communicating?
Yes.
It's not just that they're crying. It's not just that they're whining or complaining. They're not trying to irritate you. There's something being communicated. So I think if we look at things like that as communication and how can I respond effectively to this, then, we're going to see a lot more effective communication, right?
Because so many times the kids, they just don't have the language to communicate what they need, or they don't have the skills. Sometimes the environment is asking too much of them, or sometimes we are. And so they respond maladaptively. They have this challenging episode and we think they're pushing our buttons when really they're trying to tell us, help, I don't know how to deal with this. And so a lot of times if we can change our lens, and look at the child's behavior from a different perspective and not take it so personally, that helps us respond differently.
As I listen to you specifically, Ms. Myers, the language that we use, talk about our lens, I think some of us need to get a little bit more willing to look at some of the terminology so that we appreciate the perspective of that child. And remember, we were, even me, were probably young ones.
Yeah, we were all kids once.
But Ms. Shannon, as a parent going through the program, you know what? I invite you. The door is open. You walk right in and enjoy the red carpet.
Well, I initially signed up for my son, figuring it was going to be, this 13-week program specifically for him. And the more, the more weeks that went by, is the more I realized that it's also for me. It massively helped me, not even just as a parent, but like with life skills. Yeah. When it comes to, like you talk about, certain situations at work where I used to get, flustered and upset, and why isn't everybody like doing their job quickly, and I need to get this done, and SNAP just taught me to, just take a break, take a breather. And it sounds silly, but it works. And not only does it work to change my reaction, but it changed the outcome of that situation. Whereas if I took a minute and said, okay, I'm not going to respond to that email right now, I'm going to leave it till the end of the day, and then it almost like it's like things started to work themselves out before whereas before I'd have this, like you said, knee-jerk reaction, and then I type that angry email, and then away it goes,
and
right?
The problem just gets bigger
and
bigger.
It gets bigger and bigger.
Well, that's the thing, right? We're probably in our minds, and even with our colleagues, justified in, this nasty email has come in. Just use the work example.
Yeah.
And you respond, listen there, whatever, and, we tell them where to get off.
That's
right?
the problem is that life nowadays is like go, go, go. And when the person next to you isn't going as fast as you are, it makes you angry, and then it just, and it's funny because I always, like, SNAP also taught me with my son, you take, if I need him to do something, like take out the garbage, I'll say, I need you to take out the garbage, please. And he'll say, okay, but and then ignores me. And whereas before I get all upset and I'd start yelling, and I'm like, come on, I asked you to do this, let's go. And whereas now I tell him I need you to take out the garbage, and then 5 minutes later I'll go back and say, tap him on the shoulder, make sure that he sees me and listens to me and hears what I'm saying, and he gets up and he does it. Like, and that was through the program, but since we've graduated from it, I don't even have to say things twice anymore.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, it's just like my whole, I'm going to start going on. But my whole family, like friends, relatives, everybody has seen such a massive difference in my son. And my son has ADHD, so he's always the prime focus of whatever's going on, so because of his hyperactivity and whatnot. And everybody over the Christmas season and through the New Year's and whatnot, everybody's like, wow, like, what did you do? Like, what drugs did you give him? Like, what happened? And it's like, it's this course. Like, it just, it's given us such amazing tools to work with when it comes to stopping the wars, the little wars that we have at home, like go bathe or take out the garbage or get ready for school. It teaches you these little skills and like reward systems, and I have done a lot of research and different. I've gone down different avenues before this program, and I have to say that this program was like, I tell everybody about it. It's so effective for not just the child, like I was saying, like for myself as well, that I just want everybody to know about it. I want anybody who I see who is struggling with the same situation as myself, it's like, go see Miles. Go sign up. Go do it. You know what I mean? Go do it.
But I also want to acknowledge, your willingness and your openness and your work, because it is work. I mean, it's not easy to change our behavior, especially as adults, because it's so ingrained in us for so many years.
Yeah.
And, there's home practice. You've got to practice it throughout the week. And, if you don't, that's just like getting a prescription filled and not taking it. Right. And so,
and it's like Lisa, it's not a magic pill. It's something that you have to be dedicated towards. Right. And I think most of the parents that were in my group were kind of at that end of the line kind of thing, and they didn't know what else to do. And so everybody was really willing to do all the homework and do all the different tasks that we were supposed to do. And it's like an extra job in a way, because but it's only once a week. And like Miles said, at the end of the 13 weeks, I didn't want to leave. It was like, no, I need to stay here. I need to keep coming back. Like it, and even my son, like he was upset that it was over because he ended up forming, close relationships with the other boys in the program as well as the program coordinators as well, because they still keep in contact.
Yeah, they would go to school and visit them at school and kind of work with them with problems at school.
Yeah,
make it. How can we deal with this realistically?
Yeah.
If I may ask, though, and I am a fan of the Family Resource Centre. I think government has some excellent agencies. We look over the Counseling Centre, for instance. We just need, as a community, to embrace more, demand more, but be willing to give more as well. I know you shared that, children who have particular challenges, but bathing, doing your homework, taking out the garbage.
Every child.
Getting ready for school.
Yeah.
I'm not sure any parent who doesn't have some of those things at some point. Yeah. So what about, those who are there saying, well, my child wasn't or isn't.
Well, yeah, a child doesn't have to have a diagnosis to qualify for this program. And even if the parent is having problems with their child, whether it be at school or at home or both, if SNAP's not the right program, we will refer them to the right service. We have individualized parent coaching. We have workshops on positive discipline and on, supporting your teen and young parents and just depends on the circumstance. So you'd come in and visit with us and complete what we call an intake. And then from there would move forward on what would be the best fit for your family.
Would you guide me? Because I think too many of us, and I don't mean this to be a slight against it, but many of us, parents, just talking about parents, things are good at home, but we believe, just like some of us have a perception, if we go talk to a counselor, whatever that counselor is,
stigmatism.
It's a stigma. Oh, something is wrong. Ms. Shannon, you shared, you did some reading.
Yeah.
How many of us as parents, we do that, we read, but I can probably venture to share that having that reading beforehand and during and now and doing a program like SNAP, how much better it was. It's like going to a classroom and you can do it online by yourself, but if you have a lecturer there or a TA or something that you can say, well, I read this, what does it mean? Much better, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, we went through a lot of different avenues before we discovered SNAP, and I just need to do a shameless plug here for Mr. Miles at Hope Academy. He was the one that introduced it to me and said, go and sign up for this. Yeah. But we could all use counseling. We could all use a little help. There's no shame in asking for help, especially if you're struggling.
Well, and I think, too, what I like a lot about the SNAP program is that the parents get practice, in a safe environment, during the session, so they're interactive.
Before well as being with other parents who are going through the same thing.
Right, so you have that support. That so often it becomes almost a parent support group too.
I
thought I was the only one. I thought your kid was perfect, or I thought my kid was the only one that did this. So it's very validating as well to know that you're not alone and that there is, support out there, and you'll get practice and guidance. So often we can hear something and read it. Oh, I can do that. But then when you have to do a role play, people are like, oh, and then they're stuck. And so that's why you need to do, not just talk about it, not just read about it, but to do it.
I think the analogy is in business. I mean, many of us who were probably listening had to do those role play, when we're checking something out as a case study, whether it's in a business class or whether it's in work. How do you do this thing? This is the same thing, except it's much more important because these are real people, real lives. These are us, our families.
Right. These are our children that are going to be running this country someday.
Exactly.
This is it. From that perspective, though, Ms. Anne-Marie, from when we were looking at it, and we're looking at the challenges that young people or children face sometimes, not just the changes that go through, not just the things that impact and affect them that they're bombarded with, whether they're on their devices or otherwise. I mean, being a teen 100 years ago may have been hard or easy, I don't know, but certainly being a teen today, or
well, I have two boys. And
good for you.
Yeah, no, I was going to say my oldest is 26, so I never had to deal with any of this. It was almost like you just make sure you feed them, you know.
Send them out to play on their bikes, come back at dark, you know.
Exactly. Whereas nowadays, it's just, I don't know, it's whether it's the hormones in the food or it's
the devices,
there's the devices. There's
and
so
it's
much.
global.
It is global. The children these days have so much more
like access to information.
Yeah, you know, you have the cyberbullying. You have, you know, like they have so much more to deal with than what we did as kids.
Yeah, and there's also that instant. You know, they get everything instantly. You know, we had to go develop pictures. We had to write a letter.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when Polaroid came out, I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing, you know. And now it's, you know, take a picture, look, you know.
Yeah.
And so their world's very different. And I'm sure that's also affecting brain development that we just haven't even gotten there yet to had enough time to study that. But
that's a concern too, because I was going to ask you, you know, from that perspective, as Shannon was sharing, the child today, but just today's world, you know, we're always on this screen. No, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but when I get home, I don't even want to see the television.
Yeah.
Because they're all the same, and your eyes are fluttering and flickering, and you're almost zombie-like, you know, to sit and have a chat with someone, whether it's a tea you're drinking or even a glass of water. You know, you're constantly engaged with something. What is that? You know, as Ms. Miles is saying, what is that doing to us?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of studies being done about it. You know, there's theories. I don't think there's anything, say, proven quite yet. But like Ms. Miles was saying, that it's going to affect your development. And even as adults, as grown, you know, we're maybe fully developed, it's affecting our overall health, our physical health. We're not getting up and moving around as much. You know, maybe we're plugged in. Our eyes are being affected. Our mental health is being affected. You know, we maybe see messages and we get sucked into this world that is, you know, tech. It's not tangible. It's not really real. So it can absolutely affect our overall health as well as our children.
I say stop listening to CNN, but that's just you want to share, Michelle?
Well, I was going to say, like through the SNAP program, I've learned that screen time for my son is a privilege.
Yeah.
And it's something that he has to earn. And it was a big transition. Because, you know, as most parents out there, they're like, throw them the iPad, throw them the phone, and just, you know. But whereas now, it's like, okay, well, you want to play your Fortnite or your Minecraft or whatever. What are you going to do, excuse me, to earn that time?
Yeah. Can I ask you that? Because, again, you know, I want you to share as you wish, but many of us probably bought these devices or certainly allow our children to use them. We probably give them to them as a way, well, they're right there. We can see them.
Yeah.
We're not concerned about what they're doing because we can see it, we know. But they're so engaged in this thing that's all they're engaged in. And maybe it's 4 hours, maybe it's 40 hours a day that they're on it. How do we get to that point where if, for instance, the child has been accustomed to having unlimited access, anytime, every time, all the time, to saying, nope, you know, you've got 20 minutes, you've got 2 hours, and then you've got to take a break, and that's it for the day. I mean, from a parent's perspective.
Yeah, because it was like that. It was, you know, not unlimited, but you know, he'd be on there for a few hours. It was a big transition. Like I said, it was difficult. What I did was I tried to say, okay, you know, you have 45 minutes on there, and then after that, we're going to play a game, like a old school board game, right? Like we used to play. But he loves them.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've always played games, you know, with him growing up, but when it became like a family thing, like it was like, okay, well, you know, it's family time now, and we got to put down the phones, you turn off the TVs and the computers, and it was difficult. I'm not going to lie, it was.
So as you shared that, I'm thinking then that as a parent, perhaps just use the board game as an example. We have to be willing to play the board game, to make time to...
I like to play games.
It's fine with that's me. A good point, Sterling. You know, as a parent, you know, it's an investment in your child. You have to also show or have some flexibility and be available to your child. I mean, I know we all work hard and we're tired and we get home, we just want to like plop down, you know. But, you know, if we really want to prepare our children for the future, we need to invest in that time with them, develop that relationship with them. Because if we don't have that relationship, then we don't have anything.
They're going to be grown soon, married, have their children.
And that's the thing, is that they just grow up so quickly. It's like you got to grab them now.
But, as a parent, too, I think it's okay to change the rules. And, I've said to my kids, you know what? This wasn't good parenting, and I'm changing this now because I realize now that wasn't okay.
Okay.
And if I'm going to be a good parent, then I need to do this.
So bring them into the...
Yeah, bring them in the conversation. Have those family meetings and talk about what's working, what's not working, and get their input. Because just like with anything, if you have the child's input, too, with rules and consequences, then you have their buy-in. Just like at work, if the policy comes down the line and it just is smacked on you and you didn't have any say, you're like, but it affects you, you're not going to really have buy-in. You're going to be more resistant. And kids are no different that way.
And they're usually more, they would want to be a part of it if they get to think that it's their decision.
Yeah.
Or,
so it does hold them accountable. It's not, you're not losing control by doing that. It's not, I don't like to think of parenting as hierarchical, even though it tends to be, where the parent's up here, the child's down there, but more of a journey where we're kind of guiding them.
Well, linking it to work, like how you have been, Sterling, you're more likely going to respond to a manager who cares about your point of view and what you have to say than one that is overly authoritative
drill sergeant,
and doesn't really maybe explain why there's changes taking place.
Something that I've tried to share with my children, hopefully effectively. I said to them, I'm accountable for you, but you're responsible for what you do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so in my household, if there's an issue, school, outside the community, you come to me. I'm the parent. You address me, and then we can deal with the child, because you just can't leave the child to wander aimlessly, whether it's watching television or whether it's just sitting there. You're the parent.
Well, it's our responsibility to monitor our child, whether they're in the neighborhood or on the internet. And so often the kids get on those devices, and the parents don't monitor where they're going, who they're talking to online, what they're doing. Is it age appropriate? Is it pro-social? Is it safe? Are they being bullied? Are they bullying? I mean, it goes both ways. And so as a parent, it's a new world for us, those that didn't grow up in that. And, for me particularly, it was difficult. It's like, wait a minute, they can't just have carte blanche here. There's parental controls and passwords, and you just have to become savvy or find someone that is. And, kids are very smart, and they learn ways around that, and you just have to keep up, because that's the world, that's the future.
That is it now, huh?
And we can't, get away from it.
Can't change it.
Can't change that. We just need to be...
Adapt.
Yeah. But also have limitations and boundaries. Kids need that. And as parents, that's our responsibility, to set those limits and boundaries to keep them safe. And then as they get older and more mature, give them more responsibility, more, widen those boundaries so that when they're old enough and ready to fly, they've had practice.
All right. Well, let's share some more, please. When we come back, take a quick break. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully, people out there are learning and laughing as well. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk Today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And yes, by design, hopefully that you will set the tone as you go into the new year, that if we have the tools and the skill sets and we understand the resources and we access them, we're going to be better, just better all around. You know, you made your revolutions. My friend, he says he's not going to call it a resolution because he wants to make a significant transformation. He's going to speak to his physician and his dietitian and, you know, his personal coach. Well, that's for the physical body. What are we doing for our families? Really, really grateful to Ms. Miles Ruby and our colleague Ms. Anne-Marie Diaz, together with Ms. Shannon Powell. And we talk about not just what the Family Resource Center has to offer, but in particular the SNAP program, and hopefully parents specifically that have invested so heavily in understanding that we're parents for life. Yep. This is, you know, not an overnight journey, huh?
No.
I got a few gray hairs, I think.
Just a few.
Yeah. But it's a joy, man. I mean, you look at some...
Yeah. It can be more enjoyable if you have more tools.
Yeah.
And you can enjoy being a parent, because no parent likes to be that authoritative, always laying down the law and throwing out the consequences. That's not fun as a parent. So if we can parent differently... we tend to have a different outcome, right? When you say, Shannon?
Yeah, definitely. Like it wasn't, you know, quite war in my household, but it was at times.
And about your child problems.
Yeah. And like I said, after this program, like, you know, probably halfway through the program, I just started noticing, you know, small changes in my son and in myself, and it almost, at the end of the program, it was almost normal, you know, whereas everything was calm and cool and collected, and we all made good decisions. Well, we don't always make good decisions, but...
You made better decisions.
Yeah, more better decisions.
More better, yes.
More better, that's great English.
I want to ask you who's...
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, but it was definitely like it's something that I would do over again. If I had the chance, you know, if there was a second class to it, I would do it.
There will be.
I tell, when he turns to a teenager, I told Miles I'm going to be back there as well, because they have the program for the teens as well. But it's something that if anybody out there that is struggling, or, you know, or you just want a couple, you know, like, some tips on how to, you know, change a certain situation in your life, and change, you know, like some kids, I know boys are, sorry, but they're disgusting. They don't want to bathe half the time, you know. It's like, you know, and you're fighting for them, and you know, Miles taught us to do a little reward chart, and we break it down. And at the end of every shower, he gets the sticker, which he earns $1 towards a game online, or, you know, and it works. It's like magic. I thought there's no way that I'm gonna, you know, change this kid and make him actually bathe all the time. And sure enough, it works.
Get a power washer.
He doesn't care. Yeah.
He gets rewarded.
Yeah.
You know, there's incentive there.
Yeah, the incentive, and I think that plays a major role in our home life, because I think I was over consequencing when he wasn't behaving and he wasn't listening. I was like, oh, you're grounded for a week. You're grounded for 2 weeks. I take away everything, all electronics, and you can have Legos, and that's it. And then I'd be like going crazy for that week or two.
Yeah, it's more your punishment.
It's my punishment. So I'm having to entertain him, you know, without any electronics.
Well, you played your ace. You had nothing. You played all your good cards. You had nothing left.
I had nothing left.
Well, it's like you played the ace, but you didn't win a queen, huh?
No. Yeah. So you know, the program taught me to, you know, it's consequence at the level of what's going, you know, what's happening, like what's. You know, if what's the paced one? What was that? What did that stand?
Paced.
Yeah.
The problem, then the alternatives, the solutions, the timetable, and then let's evaluate.
Right. Yeah. So, like as an example, it was hard to get him up for school in the morning. He wanted to, his decision was go to bed later and then wake up when he wants to. And it's like, it was always a struggle in the morning to get
But this is the thing, as you're sharing now, right? And as some of you were sharing, maybe societies, we've seen studies that talked about school-age children. The teenager maybe should be starting a little bit later. Not everybody starts at the same time because their bodies at this time need a little bit,
Well, they need more sleep.
They need more sleep, right?
They do.
And their timing and the like. And I'm wondering, where are we? And this is where the sort of like the socioeconomic policies come into play, and the public policy analysis of what are we doing in Cayman, the small society that we are. The flex time, the ability to be at home more with our families, to respond, to a school's invitation that, hey, we're turn out on a field trip. These tools probably gives us a chance to negotiate with our employers for that balance between work and life, and for our children to take more responsibility and accept greater ownership. And whether it's you or Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias, when he talks about his stepson not wanting to bathe. The little things that are challenging to almost all families at some point.
Oh, yeah.
From the psychotherapist perspective, where the magic wand for us, Miss Anne?
Oh, geez. I don't think there is one, but
nope.
In relation, I guess I'll go back to what Miles said. It's never too late to be the best parent. I think also it's never too early. That was one of the things that actually brought me into the Family Resource Center to work. I actually came in as a parent, just had a kid, and, they're a little baby, but I recognized the immense responsibility that there was, and I wanted to really be very proactive and get a bunch of parenting skills that I could maybe apply as as he was getting older. So I think being proactive, and I think, you were bringing up counseling earlier. You don't necessarily have to look at it as these support services as, I need to get help. And things are really rough right now, so I need to source help. Actually, being proactive and just seeking information that's the way to look at it. Just like how you would go on your website, you'd go on your phone and look up information. Counselors and program facilitators, and we're a source of information too. We're a resource. So you don't have to look at it as kind of you have to be at the end of your tether. Sometimes you can come in proactively and find out some stuff too.
It's not a sign of weakness at all. I think if anything, it really is a sign of strength that you're willing to go out there and be open-minded and try something new and learn something new, and maybe parent a little differently.
Well, I keep saying it's like anything. I mean, if you're an athlete, you're trying to always upskill. If you're in the workplace, not because you're ambitious or you want to get to the top, it's always that, how do I learn this new programming software? How do I make sure that I'm a valued organization? If you're a parent, some of you shared that a new parent, you get, be proactive, you get these tools so that when you come in, your child is, hopefully, you're given a little age because it's challenging. One child, to the next. Both boys, a couple of ages, a few years apart, but big difference in the timing and the approach. And even if they're similar in age, there could be differences. They're not clones.
But that, information is so important. Knowledge is power. And, with that power, you can create change. Like understanding your teen. We have the Teen Toolbox coming up starting next week, Tuesday, and it's going to be an 8-week program. And it's just learning to understand your teen and how to support them during those challenging times of adolescence. And we've all been there. You couldn't pay me enough money to be a teenager again. And
to be a teenager.
No, to be a teenager.
Yeah.
And so, I think any parent, if you can be armed with information and tools that can help you look at your child a little differently, respond differently, support them, and understand them. And because it's so much easier to respond without emotion when you realize, oh, this isn't personal. And to have empathy and to understand developmentally what's going on with their brain, with their emotions, with their hormones, all those different things. And then you can approach it differently. and
they're not just slamming doors just
no,
because they hate you. There
right.
literally is something else going on.
Right, yeah. And we want to be, it's so important that we be that good role model for them. We show them how to handle problems positively and effectively because they're learning from us. As parents, we're their first teacher. And if we're yelling at them and screaming at them and then that's how they're going to respond to problems,
right. If I may ask, though, in the home environment where there are two people who are parenting, not trying to be politically correct, but recognizing, I presume it would be easier when there's one because only one needs to decide, well, we're going to go to this program, we're going to go to that program. Presumably both parents have to be on board if they're both involved in parenting?
Well, it's ideal because it's best if both parents are on the same page.
Okay.
We have a co-parenting program called One Heart, Two Homes, where you might have a child living in two different homes.
Right.
And it's really about putting the children first. And in that 10-week program that starts next Monday in the evening, they learn about how to put the child first and how to co-parent in a positive way for the child and to keep the personal separate from the parental problems. And that's really hard to do when it's very conflictual, when there's still a lot of hurt. But it's a very effective workshop, and it becomes a strong support group as well for those families who are experiencing it, whether they're going through separation, divorce, they've never been married, but they're co-parenting and they're parenting very differently. They have different philosophies. How can we parent effectively where the child can still feel like they can love both parents and be loved in both homes? Yeah.
But I mean, even with that, and this is why I think having the Family Resource Center, for us to be aware of it, you became aware of it. Hopefully, more people would at least reach out and understand where we're at. Now, I know the time, and when we got back from the news, you have some more time? Do you want to share with us?
Sure, we have. There's some programs that we'd like to share with the audience.
All right, in a couple of minutes we'll take the break, and if you got time, because this is important, I think, for our parents. Ms. Shannon, you wanted to share something before we hit the news? Nope. Okay. I was going to ask though, in that household, just it's easy to recognize where maybe one parent is here and one parent is there. What is that relationship? But in the household where both parents are there, daddy says, well, let's go bathe. And mommy says, no, let's go get ice cream. Sometimes.
Right. You'll have different parenting styles, different philosophies. And that's why it's so important as parents to be on the same page and to have those discussions, not with the child around, and to try to parent where you're not pitting one against the other or putting the child in the middle, or the child's putting you in the middle. They're very good at that too, and that whole triangle. But it's important to have those discussions beforehand so that there's a routine. There's a bedtime routine, there's expectations, and everyone knows what they are. And if there is going to be a change in plans, that's discussed, ahead of time. I mean, there are going to be things that pop up and there are going to be changes, and we have to learn to be flexible as well. But on a regular basis, children tend to have less anxiety and have less behavior problems when they know what to expect. Yeah. When they know there's a routine, when there's stability. We eat at this time, we have homework at this time, we go to bed at this time, we get up at this time. It creates those safe barriers that kids need. It's kind of like a picket fence on a busy road. You feel safer if there's a fence there than not.
I think a program will get you all to introduce that for parents, for adults. Yeah. Get a routine.
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, and as parents, that's one of our jobs.
Yep.
That's part of the difficult part of parenting. Some parts of parenting is difficult, but that's what we signed up for.
Right.
But something as simple as the weekly family meetings will help you to stay on top of things like that. And like you said, two minds coming together as one. Right. Even just quickly jotting down something you're noticing and bringing it to the family meeting to talk with your spouse, your partner, and that helps immensely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Well, after the break, let's share about that, because I think many of us want to be better at everything. Many of us don't realize that the resources are there. Some of us are probably oblivious to the fact that, as a parent, we're probably the ones creating the turmoil in the homes as much
Sometimes
as
we don't realize the part we play.
Exactly,
in that.
right? Yeah. Those who are listening, if you want to call and have a comment you want to share, by all means, 949-8837 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Come back, and as long as our guests want to share, we'll utilize the time. We maybe get another 50, and maybe get another 30. And luck, we may get chocolate. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio K-Man.
Radio K-Man's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Public Works Department's first female senior project manager is promoted to Deputy Director of Operations. In her new role, Nyasha Brady will manage a restructured operations division and lead the 4 core sections of the department, which are project management, consultancy services, facilities management, and recreation, parks, and cemeteries. Mrs. Brady has been an employee of PWD for approximately 11 years. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. 2 Indian women have made history by entering a prominent Hindu shrine in the southern state of Kerala following months of protests against their entry. The Sabarimala temple was historically closed to women of menstruating age, defined between 10 and 50. The Supreme Court overturned that ban, but prosecutors then attacked women and stopped them from going in. A manhunt is underway in Houston, Texas for a gunman who attacked a young family in a drive-by shooting, killing a 7-year-old girl. Jasmine Barnes, her 3 sisters and mother, LaPortia Washington, were driving when an unknown man pulled up alongside them and opened fire. Jasmine and Miss Washington were shot, and the 7-year-old died in the back seat as a result of her wounds. Police believe they were targeted at random and have not confirmed a motive. And a man with a serious fear of spiders prompted an emergency call by Western Australia police on New Year's Day. According to police, a passerby raised the alarm after hearing a screaming toddler and a man repeatedly shouting, "Why don't you die?" But after arriving at a home in suburban Perth, they found the man had merely been trying to kill a spider. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio K-Man, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiokman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio K-Man is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio K-Man.
This Health Flash is brought to you by Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Over 65 million people around the world have moderate or severe COPD, a family of diseases that includes emphysema and chronic bronchitis. Cleveland Clinic, Florida offers a wide range of management and treatment options for COPD, including programs focused on education, medication, smoking cessation, and pulmonary rehabilitation. A team of experts is ready to review your symptoms and test results to develop a comprehensive treatment plan. For more information, visit clevelandclinicflorida.org.
From happy beginnings to happy ever after,
Brit K protects your lifestyle with the best insurance cover at the best possible price.
Health insurance with far-reaching benefits.
95% of claims settled in 5 days.
Low-cost life insurance.
And investments.
Security in retirement.
With a custodian pension plan.
For happy beginnings and a happy ever after,
visit BritK.ky or call 949-8699.
Brit K, where people come first.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us in the studio. Ms. Miles Ruby and Ms. Anne-Marie Diaz joins us as we talk about the resources that the Family Resource Center has to offer. 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037 if you want to, share your thoughts with us, ask a question. Yeah, you wouldn't hear that, soft, soothing voice of Susan, but DJ Lynn will answer the call in that husky, masculine tone that he has there, just as good. Right, DJ Lynn? There you go, man. Hey, hopefully people recognize that, being truthful but complimentary but truthful is a good way to go. As far as from that perspective, you talk about the tools that we get, and men sometimes don't appreciate that. Just like you said at the outset, you always have a hammer, Well, I don't know that a hammer is good at cutting wood, but it can drive a nail.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great screwdriver, but it can drive a nail.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not going to be a good wrench, but it can drive a nail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my daddy showed me how to use a hammer. That's about all I can do. Not good. But we need other tools, right?
Right. I mean, we're going to have different scenarios and situations come at us, and we need to be as prepared as we can be. At least have different tools that we could use. You know, well, that didn't work, so maybe I'll try this, and that didn't work, so let me try this. And, you know, we have to learn to be able to use different tools in different scenarios, because even though it might have worked last time, it may not work this time. So that's why we need that kind of arsenal of tools to pull from.
Well, something that those who are listening may have benefited. We thank Ms. Shannon. We had, you know, some of us are at work and some of us have to go back to work.
Yeah.
But she shared very openly that she found the process to be very effective in halfway, and it worked, and it's still continuing to work with an investment. But with great respect, many will see the stigma. No, that's not for us. I don't want anybody to know. Others who very honestly recognize that there shouldn't be any stigma may be still a bit reticent. Oh, that's that new age stuff. I mean, please.
Oh, fluffy mambo jumbo.
Yeah. You heard the words before. And so they won't because, well, you know, I'm already this and that the next thing. How do we reach those people?
Well, I would like to say that all the programs that we do use are evidence-based. Okay, they are proven and effective programs, you know, through research, through science. It's not just a theory, you know. And so we take that very seriously. We want to use programs that we know are going to work. And so, first of all, I'll say that. Second of all, you know, it's kind of like, you know, back in the day, you know, before we had all our medical technology, you know, in the 1800s, you know, 1700s, someone got sick, they would leech them, they would bleed them, thinking they had to get the bad blood out, you know. Well, we learned better that we don't do that anymore, because we know now through science and research that doesn't work. So even though we're dealing with parenting, you know, with the mind, and, you know, it's no different, you know, it's also a different world, and it's important that, you know, we can change ourselves as it changes, but be willing also to make those changes, because change is not easy, and doing that hard work is difficult when you're so comfortable doing what's familiar, what you know. It doesn't mean it's healthy, but sometimes it's what I tell a lot of my parents. It's like, you know, when you get that new pair of shoes, it looks so nice in the store window. I mean, you start walking around in them, you know, you bought them, you're like, boy, I'm going to look great. And you start walking around and you're like, whoo, these are giving me blisters. Yeah. But it takes a while to wear them in. And then once you do, they might be the most comfortable shoes you have, but you might have to go through some blisters. You might have to walk a few miles and be uncomfortable until you can break them in. And that's same with any parenting tool. You're going to have to use it. And you might have to fail a couple of times. You know, I mean, we're human. We need to have compassion for ourselves. But just make amends. Like if you are trying really hard to make a change and then you fall back, just own up to it. Say, hey, my bad. You know, that was not okay the way I spoke to you or what I said to you. I'm sorry. You know, if you're talking to your kid, I've had to do this. Because I want them to learn also how to forgive and how to make amends, how to make something right. And so as a parent, it's important to also have compassion and grace with yourself as well as your kids. Sometimes, you know, they need a hug, not a scornful look, right?
Yeah.
And so it's important that we, you know, be open and willing and realize that, you know, what might have worked when I was a kid or when my, you know, if you have kids from different age groups, I mean, you might have a 20-year-old and you might have a 5-year-old. I mean, we have lots of parents out there like that. What worked with your 20-year-old may not work with your 5-year-old, not only because of different times, but they're different children. You know, and you might be different. You might be in different circumstances too. So there's no one cookie cutout, you know, fix it all. But I think just being open to trying new things and but to actually do the work. Yeah, because you can talk all the talk, but if you don't actually walk the walk, I mean, that's and make the change. I know, but it's true. You've got to do the work, and you've got to hold yourself accountable and be self-aware,
and also be, forgiving of yourself and your child.
And recognize too that you are, whether you like it or not, the terminology will be modeling the behavior, but you're the example, you're the teacher. The child is seeing that.
Yeah.
Something you shared earlier, that we fail to remember that, yes, they are children, but they're people as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
5 or 15, that child, that person is able to discern, may not be able to verbalize, effectively communicate, but has, picked up on something.
Mm-hmm.
If I could ask the question, we see a child. Now, I'll use that whether you're 60-year-old or 6-year-old. You're a child. You're somebody's child. But that person sometimes may slam the door, may verbally say something in response to. But sometimes the child goes quiet. Is the word internalized or what have you, but just goes quiet and gets on the device or opens the book or goes in the room or does something and just, closes off.
Withdraws.
Okay. I was going to not use that word, but that's a good word to use. Right?
Yeah.
Should we be...
Well, that's a communication too. I think being mindful, there are personality types that are maybe a bit more introverted and like to maybe do more quiet activities, be on their own more. And they might not necessarily be antisocial, or there might not be an issue. That just might be who they are, and that's what they enjoy, and that's okay. I think paying attention to when things like that are communicated and it's out of the ordinary. Are they usually a vibrant, social person, and then all of a sudden they're withdrawing, as you say, from the family or from their friends, then I would say any kind of shift in what's, out of the ordinary, that's something to pay attention to. But I do want to say those kids that are typically maybe a bit more introverted with their feelings, a bit more private, a lot of times, unfortunately, they can go unnoticed. Those are the straight A students, sometimes have a lot of issues. There might be that there's so much pressure on them from parents and they don't want to talk about it. They don't they don't have the skills. They don't know how to talk about it or how to express themselves. So they themselves don't even recognize that there is this issue that they have. But that right there, that's something to pay attention to.
Effective parenting. We do have a caller joining us. Okay. Let's go to our phones in the studio from the Family Resource Center, Miss Miles Ruby, Miss Anne-Marie Diaz. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year to you and your panel.
Happy New Year to you. Thank you. Good afternoon.
I am also a fan of the Family Resource Center.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
So you got two.
And sure appreciate all that they contribute. And I just wish that more people could benefit from their programs. So I am interested in knowing what is the next age group that's going to be started. Is it this Thursday or next Thursday?
Well, Monday and Thursday, right? There are two programs?
Well, we have the SNAP program is actually starting next Thursday, January 10th. And the process to join that group is you need to call the Family Resource Center at 949-0006 or email us at frc@gov.ky and start the intake process because we need to. It's a closed group, and we have to make sure that everyone is suitable for the group. And if not, then we can refer you to maybe another group that is. And like I said, give us a call. We do have walk-in hours from 12:30 to 4, Monday through Friday. And we have moved. I did want to plug that in. We're now in the Walker's House on Mary Street, 77 Mary Street on the 3rd floor. And you can stop by then, give us a call, and we can start that process.
And to answer your question, caller, about the age group, the January cohort that's starting next week, it's ages 6 to 8. Yeah. So if your child falls in that category, definitely give us a call.
And it is a boys group right now. We don't have enough girls to start a girls group.
6 to 8 boys.
Yes, ma'am.
Boys.
Right. Now, if your child is older, we can still start the process and we can offer individual support until the next cohort starts. So we don't want you to be in limbo. So if you're interested, just please give us a call and we can get that ball rolling, offer different type of support, maybe not the group the SNAP group, but we can do individual SNAP sessions. We could do school advocacy until the next SNAP group, if that's what we deem is, appropriate at that time.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Our
How
pleasure.
many parents were in this last cohort?
This last cohort, we had, let me count here, 1, 2, we had 5 families.
So that they were couples.
We had one couple, and we had some single parents too.
Yeah, so even partners that are together, and there's no conflict sometimes just for personal reasons. Maybe one of the parents doesn't want to join, or maybe doesn't have the availability. So we're very welcoming of either or both parents.
Yeah, it's preferable if both can join, so they can learn the skills and be on the same page and model the same new strategies that they're learning in the sessions.
5 couples complete the program.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
5 families.
Did those 5 families complete the program?
Yes, they did.
Anything else, Mom?
No, I just wish that more people took the opportunity to learn from these programs, because I think they're very important.
Well, they really are. I just want to also say that we do have a maximum amount of boys or girls, depending on the group, that we can have per cohort, and that's only 7. So that's 7 families is the maximum. That's based on SNAP's guidelines, not ours.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
It's more effective, when you have that many.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. And again,
thank you for calling.
Thank you for being there. And I hope that there's parking in your new location.
There is.
There is ample parking.
Ample parking.
Thank you very much.
And we have an elevator.
All right. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think as a caller highlighted, though, is that if more of us as parents would avail ourselves of, I don't want to say this in a way that may cause some people to feel slighted, but I make no apology for it nonetheless. If you're going to do a program, do one that's tried and true, do one that's evidence-based, do one that's effective. Yes, you can evaluate other things and look into it, but what's the point in eating something that you know is spoiled and is going to harm you, you're allergic to? Some people might still do it. But if you got a choice between that and here's this wonderfully prepared dish by your grandmother that is like your favorite and it's the best thing in the world, why not pick that one? If you have the choice. Pick the program, and as you shared, your programs are evidence-based, they're effective, they're proven, and those who have gone through that I know of have benefited.
And they're free.
Well, I have still.
I mean, that
can't hurt.
In this day and age, it's so important that they know that. To go, our counseling services are free at the counseling center. Our parent coaching services are free. Just come in and speak with us. I think sometimes the hardest part is just coming through that door the first time. But, we're really easy to work with. We are very supportive. We listen. We also want to make sure that our families get the services they need. A lot of times people will walk through our doors thinking they need one thing or want one thing, but they actually need something else. And so, we're the trained professionals, even though they are, we believe they're the expert on their family. At the same time, it's important that, we set them up for success. And so, like I was telling the caller, even if you might have a son or a grandson that needs or you think would benefit from SNAP, but they might be in the older age group, don't wait. Please give us a call. We can start the process. And then, maybe the next cohort will have the older boys. Or we can have 2 cohorts going at the same time,
It's depending on the demand.
Yeah, it depends on the demand. We have to go with the cohort that we have the most referrals from for that age group to make it effective. And so, if maybe more people called in and started that process, then we could, offer more.
Right. Well, I think many of us probably are, aware of someone who's gone through, could be a co-worker, a family member. We don't need to be disrespectful and be intrusive, but if we ask, Ms. Shannon, I thank her publicly for saying that co-workers and family and friends recognize the difference in, her and her son. So we can say, hey, and like anything, word of mouth referral, whether it's about a restaurant or a movie,
the best.
It works, right? Mr. DJ Lynn, do we have a final break? Nope. See that? This guy is on the ball, man. So we got a few minutes to chat. And I'm hopeful, as the last caller shared, that those who are listening, as we look at this new year, what are we going to do? Maybe this could be one of the things that we put into, sort of our lifestyle and make it better for ourselves or our families. Mm-hmm. It will improve us in our work. It's certainly going to improve us in our families.
Well, sometimes it's hard to get off that hamster wheel, We're just go, 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 go.
You've seen it, huh?
And so it's, making that first step is usually the hardest. But then, momentum usually takes over. And like Shannon said, those 13 weeks fly by. Yeah. But like I said, we offer other types of support programming after that. It's not the end. We don't just cut you off. Goodbye, we were, we'll meet with the families and have kind of a treatment review. Okay, what are our recommendations? What do you need? And tailor it to meet their needs.
If I can ask, and again, guide me, because I think sometimes we, even before we start something, we already
talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We do that. We know there's an issue, sniffling, for instance. So we go to the physician maybe after somebody has finally convinced us. We don't know which physician to go to, so we go to the family, and it may be that all you need is this, but it may be that you need a particular specialist. Just like you said, Ms. Mass, come into the Family Resource Center and let you guys as the professionals say, well, actually, it's not the SNAP program you need, it's this. It's maybe this and this. Just let you guys do the evaluation, walk in the door.
Because it's just really having a chat, and what's going on in your home, what's going on in your life, and you don't have to tell us every nitty-gritty thing, just, what's relevant, what's causing problems in your relationship with your child, or, if they're having difficulty at school, those type of things. So, and then we can start from there.
Can I, and again, make sure we get to some of the things, and again, accept the public invitation to join us as often, because like the caller last emphasized, this is only going to be helpful for us as individuals, for our families, and for our wider communities. But let's go on the premise that in a household now, whether it's one parent, two parents, whether it's the extended families, things look really, really good. I mean, children are seemingly healthy. Everybody seems to be somewhat functional and happy and getting along. But they come into you and they say, we're not really sure there's anything. But I mean, unless they're Christ, nobody's perfect, right? So there's probably some issue. In that case, could that family benefit from some of the resources? We just want to...
Well, I think so, because especially like the Teen Toolbox or the Positive Discipline, it's information is so important. And you may not realize you have a problem. Sometimes we get really comfortable with the uncomfortable. We don't realize, it could be better. I didn't realize how stressed I was on that commute until I moved, and I don't have to do that anymore. Now I don't have that stress, and I didn't realize how stressful it was until it was taken away. I dealt with it, right? And same with parenting. Sometimes it just becomes our normal. And until we start talking to other people and we start becoming more self-aware and start doing some evaluation about our relationships, about our home life and those type of things, can we say, well, actually this we could do a little bit better here, or I'd like this to be a little different. And it doesn't have to be life-changing or major. Sometimes it's the smallest tweaks that we do, even in our parenting, that can make the biggest differences.
Well, something I'll ask of you, and part of the reason is that, good friend had shared, and I have not adopted it yet. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I need to come to get you guidance. He said in their household, wonderful mother and father, working professionals, seemingly great children. I mean, must be about half a dozen of them, if not more, in the house. Really great family. Everybody has a device or two. And they decided at a certain time in the night, and I'll tell you what time they finally decided on, no more devices. TV's off, no more. And he said that took them almost 6 months, where everybody put the device down, including him. Right?
Yeah.
And I thought, 9 o'clock. It was midnight. And I thought,
wow.
But that was a compromise, because he and his wife, and seemingly nothing improper. You're just answering your friends, you're answering a work email, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I was thinking about that, and I'm thinking, if I'm up, chances are I'll respond to an email, or I'll remember, you know what, I better send Miss Normal this thing because of the show. We do that. And, you know, midnight sounds late to some. Only midnight, that's not too bad.
It's a start.
It's a start.
Right.
Now, his objective is to get to 10:30.
Right. You got to start somewhere.
Right.
You know, baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
You
So-
know.
I would recommend a great one is when you're eating dinner time. You know, put the phones either face down or put them away, not even on the table. Sometimes
not
don't
even
even
on
have
the-
it on the table because that's, you know,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
asking for trouble too.
Help us to do that. So let's make it easy. Let's say it's the perfect family, you know, 2.2 kids, mother and father. They got a dog, a cat, a parakeet, and a goldfish. And dinner is at 7:30. All right. This is the, what's that show? Leave It to Beaver.
Oh.
But let's say that
Or
we
the
have...
Andy Griffith Show, one of those old-time ones. Yeah.
So let's say we have that. And everyone has a device. So dinner's been prepared, you know. Yes, let's say, hey, you know, this is the modern world. Dad has prepared the dinner.
Yeah.
You're going to sit
That's how it is
at
in
the
my
table.
household.
Yeah, my husband makes the meals.
Yeah, my husband makes 80% of the meals.
Well, you want to eat good, right?
Yeah. He doesn't want to do the dishes.
That's what it is.
Shh, I didn't want to say it. You know. But how do we get that family to come to the table? They've all agreed that they're going to eat together. Maybe it's only one meal. Maybe it's only for 40 minutes. Maybe they only got 20 minutes. Okay, put our devices down. Now, I can see mom and dad and the children screaming and, you know, what? I can't see my phone for X minutes. Help us. No. As a practice, and I will try this going home, see if I can achieve it.
Okay.
Those out there listening will tell me if they were successful. How do we make that happen?
Well, that's the thing too. You're probably going to have dinner at different times. It's never maybe going to be always at 7:30, always at 8, whatever.
Right.
So that's very helpful right there because you know, okay, when I sit down at the table, my phone has to say be in my pocket or be in my bag. Put it on silent. You know, no, don't even allow it to vibrate.
Okay.
So that's very helpful. Out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
So having the meal right there is a trigger to say, okay, phone's away.
Right.
And practice will become perfect. And you're going to have dinner every single day. So that's something, you know, you're going to be able to practice and get a hand of it.
Well, having dinner at the table, you know, not in front of the TV.
Yes.
All together, you know. And a lot of parents will say, oh, my God, that's so challenging. Well, you got to start somewhere, right? I mean, the earlier you start, the better. But, you know, if this is something new that you're trying to instill, you know, I think it's also important to kind of have that family meeting and get input from everyone.
What
so
people want to see.
Yeah, like what's the incentive behind there? Maybe, well, if we had this for dinner or we did this for dinner, you know, sometimes it's all about just having a little bit of input like we were talking about earlier. But also as a parent, you know, that some of my best memories were around the dinner table. Yeah. And I even, with my own kids now, you know, we have some great memories around the dinner table. You know, phones are not even allowed on the table. They're like on the kitchen counter. Because it's so true when you hear it ping or you hear it buzz. There's that. It literally lights a part up in our brain.
I got to go to it.
I got to go. It's like it's almost like, you know, for some people like crack. Oh my God, who is that? You know, but there are these people right in front of us that feel like chopped liver.
But,
you know,
but you remember that experiment that we all must have, whether in high school or college. You know, the bell rings, the dog salvates.
The Pavlovian response.
It's the same thing, you know.
It's the same thing.
It's a trigger, So if you think dinner, if you're not part of, you don't have this traditional, we're around the table sort of thing. Like Miles said, have a family meeting. Make it fun. You know, if you're always watching TV when you're having dinner, then maybe do something else. Do a board game. Do, you know, put some questions in the middle of the table.
Like the
pull it
trivia.
out.
Yeah,
make it fun. But even if you're that busy parent that you guys are having dinner on the road on the way home, you know, even that, you know, we do a thing at Family Resource Center we love to do called highs and lows, and that kind of encourages conversation. What was your high of the day? What was your low? You know, instead of, oh, you know, how was your day? Ooh, not so good.
What'd you do? Nothing.
One word answers, huh?
So, it's learning how to, it's just a different skill set, right? And maybe if you can't have dinner every night, have a goal, you know, at least aim for once a night, then maybe twice a week, or then 3 times a week. You know, you just start somewhere. Because a lot of the families that do our family skills programs too are like, oh gosh, what are we going to do on Thursday nights now? I'm like, well, won't you have dinner together and do something fun? You know, they're so used to. You dedicated 13 weeks to coming here do something for your family. And one family decided, oh, well, you know what? We'll go to Camana Bay and we'll have dinner, and the kids can play in the fountain. And they decided that's what they decided to do. That was their treat, and it doesn't have to be that, but it can just be something that is meaningful to your family. And every family is different, and what one family likes may not be necessarily the same thing for another. So it's important that everyone has a little bit of input, so that everyone has, has something to look forward to, at dinner. Whether it's the food, how you set the table, the music, have a candlelight, whatever. Make it different, make it fun, something to look forward to.
Make it yours.
Well, please, collectively with your other colleagues, otherwise, whether it's for the whole show or 5 minutes, whether by phone or in person, please accept the invitation. Any final thoughts you may want to leave with us? See how fun when I was talking, playing this. It went fun.
Well, we did talk a lot about the SNAP program, so I just want to be mindful to our callers that we have several programs that are starting next week too, that may be more appropriate for your family. So we have the Positive Discipline, that's a shorter program, 6 weeks, starting next week. The Teen Toolbox, that's open to parents of children from actually 10, not just teens, but from 10 years old.
Okay.
Tweens. Tweens. And we have the Young Parent Services. That's starting again next week as well. So parents that have become parents themselves at 18 to 25
or younger.
We absolutely can support them. We're going to be focusing on employability for January onwards, which is very important, but it's still instilling the same skills of personal development, parent-child relationships. So definitely focusing on them becoming the best versions of themselves.
And again, as I mentioned before, we're also having the co-parenting program start next week. That's a 10-week program. Also have the SNAP program, which is on Thursdays. But again, these programs, you need to call and register. You can't just show up per se. So you need to come in and see us, and we can match you up with the program that is best suited for you.
They're free. Your new location is on Mary Street across from the old Thompson Meat Market in Walker's Building?
Yeah, in the Walker's Building closest to Frank Sound Homes, I think.
That's right.
Frank Hall?
Frank
Hall. I say Frank Sound. And it's we're on the 3rd floor. And we have an elevator, so it's wheelchair accessible.
There you go.
949-0006, right?
Yes.
Info at frc...
at gov.ky.
All right, perfect. Honestly, it's... anything that we can do to improve ourselves is good for us. Many of us are going to try hard, again this year to see if we can make that goal of being healthy, and hopefully we'll succeed. But at least we're trying. But let's do the same with our health as we do with our, our mental well-being and our families, right?
Well, it's an investment in your family and in your children and in the future of the community and the country, really.
Indeed. And it's no stigma. I mean, I don't care how good a parent you are or trying to be, you can always improve, or how difficult and challenging it is in your household. There's help. All right. We just thank you very much.
Thank you.
And not only, blessings for the safe, healthy, productive year, but the community sees its strength in unity.
Well, thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. Tomorrow, I honestly trying to get used to what day it is, but I'm told it's Thursday. Tomorrow is Thursday, not today. Tomorrow is going to be Thursday, and on tomorrow, Dr. Shari Smith is going to join us. We're going to be talking about the application process for overseas scholarships. Yes, I believe education is important, but not just that piece of paper. Learning and knowledge comes in all forms, and it's empowering. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy located in Countryside Shopping Village. Savannah Pharmacy, just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.